Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to As the Journey Turns, brought to you by The Real Music Observer and YouTube, talking about the drama here in real time for a few real brave people out there just like you and just like me, soldiering on together to get to the bottom of this never-ending drama. So, if you're alive like in 1978, and your mother was watching As the World Turns every afternoon like I was, this is great. I'm thinking they should do a reality show, right? Do a reality show. Why waste all of this great drama? Record it and put it on TV so people can watch it. Start a mini series, The War Between Neal and John, Part 2. Now, Neal Schon has responded to those allegations from John Kane about the spending and the credit card, the hotel rooms, the private jet, all of that good stuff. And apparently, somebody over on X decided to ask Neal Schon a question. And this is what they said. There's a lot of rumors about the band living its final days because you and your wife can't stop spending the band's money. Is this true? And Neal Schon, who suddenly became British, says, absolute rubbish. I don't know why people believe media. I don't know if he said that in a British accent. But so let me stop here. Neal says, I don't know why people believe media. Okay. This has nothing to do with media. And there are two things I want to talk about. First of all, this is Jonathan Kane putting a lawsuit in and saying that this is what's happening. This isn't the media. The media is reporting what Jonathan Kane did and said. Now, Steve Perry, I'm going to bring Steve Perry into this. So for you Steve Perry fans, there's something here for you. So Steve and Neal haven't been getting along all that well in recent years. Since the Hall of Fame induction, Neal has been saying, hey, Steve, love to have coffee with you, brother. Let's sit down like friends and we'll talk and we'll have a great time. And so Perry did this interview, and I keep bringing this up because I had to verify this. In fact, Andy Green from Rolling Stone got a hold of me and said, no, it's not a conspiracy. Steve Perry was angry when he was talking about Neal Schon and Jonathan Kane. In fact, he hit Kane even harder than he hit Neal Schon. But the bottom line is he believes that Neal Schon only wants to be friends with him so they can work together. And, you know, with Steve's name and just everything that Steve says and does, the fans tend to love. And I'm sure Neal wanted to capitalize on all that. Or even if he had good motives, right? Even if it was like, yeah, I just want to hang out with Steve Perry, which he said over and over again, Perry wanted to have nothing to do with that. And Neal Schon said at the time, well, it's the media. The media is driving a wedge between me and Steve. No, Steve is driving a wedge between you and Steve. It was Steve Perry saying, no, I don't want to have anything to do with you, Neal. Finally, Neal Schon got the message when Don't Stop Believin' was declared the greatest song in the universe. And Steve Perry went on to social media and thanked his mother, which seemed a little weak to not only me, but to Neal Schon. And Neal Schon said, okay, God bless you, Steve, but we're the ones out here doing all the work. We're out here on tour still. We're selling millions of tickets. We're keeping Journey and just in the public, and people think about Journey because we're out here, and they're not thinking about Journey because of you, Steve. Well, some people can't accept Journey without Steve Perry. So Perry thanking his mother, Neal Schon basically saying, hey, we're doing all the work, and giving Steve the middle digit maybe a little bit. And so I think that was the end of that whole the media is driving the narrative, because that was exactly what Steve Perry said. You couldn't misinterpret that. That wasn't the media reporting that Steve Perry said something that he didn't say. And so in this case, he says, I don't know why you believe the media. I don't know why that has anything to do with what this guy said over on X. Now, maybe the band isn't in their final days. Maybe that's what he's trying to say. It's not in the final days. Are they going to do this a second time? Because if they survive this a second time, this just shows a level of dysfunction that I've never seen in a rock band before. I mean, the Beatles got along better than this. They did. They did. I mean, yeah, I know the Beatles broke up, but Journey should have broken up by now. And now they should break up again, but they probably won't. So he goes on, though. Neal Schon has more to say. If anything, now he's talking about his wife here because his wife was thrown in here because you and your wife can't stop spending the band's money. And so, if anything, what she does is she makes us a lot of money by attaining the trademark. And so that cost quite a bit of money to attain it. Both John and Arnell are benefiting from that equally. It's split in thirds. Apparently, Dean and Todd don't get a part of that. Jason. We are traveling no differently, he says, than we have for many, many years, including John Cain. He and his wife decided to take a bus at the 11th hour. That was his own decision. Maybe he didn't want to be on a plane with you. It's just, I don't think the relationship between Neal and John has changed at all. They tried to make it sound like everything was fine. Basically, I got instructions from certain people saying, yeah, make sure you tell everybody how great the relationship is between Neal and John because it's better than it's ever been. It's great. And now I'm reading this going, well, John decided to take a bus. Now, John could say, hey, I'm trying to save the company a little bit of money. He could say that. But Neal is like, no, they decided to go out on their own. That was their choice. The rest of the band, Arnell and his children, my wife, myself, Dean, Todd, Jason, along with the crew and security, travel on one jet that was all approved in our budget. And approved in our budget is in quotations. I don't know what that means. Addressing Cain's contention that he and his wife were spending up to $10,000 a night on hotel rooms, Schon says he had developed really great relationships with managers of various hotels. Okay. And sometimes takes advantage of special upgrade deals. Upgrade deals. So the $1,500 a night deal isn't good. So there's got to be an upgrade for that. All of which are paid out of his own pocket. Oh, as we have done for years. Okay. So look, as ludicrous as the $1,500 is, and if Neal wants to upgrade and this is coming out of Neal Schon's checking account, then okay, there probably isn't a problem with that. It may be stupid as far as decadence and ridiculousness and you're not even at a hotel room all that long. How much can you spend at that hotel room? How many things can you order while you're at that hotel to get it up to 10K? So, I mean, and by the way, you probably check in the afternoon, right? And then you're going to go to the gig, maybe do a rehearsal, do a sound check. Then you'll probably go out for dinner and then you'll come back. And where will you be? Probably at the stadium, I'm assuming, not at the hotel room. And you'll be waiting to go on because you've got Def Leppard, Steve Miller Band, Cheap Trick, whoever. And then you get back to the hotel. It's like midnight. Why aren't you just going to sleep? Go to sleep. I mean, what can you do? And then you wake up in the morning. It's time for breakfast, right? It's either the cheap continental breakfast, which I doubt. Maybe Jonathan Cain is having the continental breakfast. I don't know. But I'm sure Neal Schon is having the Eggs Benedict, right? And he's going the full breakfast bar, or he's sitting down and ordering something from the breakfast menu. When I go to hotels, it's like, wow, they put coffee out, a couple of pastries, a muffin, maybe some toast. You get that little packet of jam there that you got to open that thing up, which takes like 20 minutes. Then you have your plastic silverware. It's just not Neal Schon, though. Nope. How can you spend $10K between check-in, then coming back at midnight, and then leaving at what, like maybe 9 a.m.? I mean, who wants to stay at a hotel room like for the whole morning? I mean, I want to get out of there. It's not my house. And you would think with all of the great living quarters that Neal Schon has invested in, that he'd want to get back to his house at some point or just move on to the next location. So I don't know how you spend that much money in that period of time. Now, if it is his own money, then yeah, who cares, right? But Kane must have receipts for this stuff. And this must be impacting, because they've said this. I mean, the reports, what, Friday, Thursday of last week, was that they weren't able to pay vendors, that roadies were quitting because they weren't getting paid, or they'd have to wait to get paid. And they needed that money ASAP, according to reports. Again, maybe this isn't true. So Neal goes on, this is the second time Jonathan Kane has sued me for the same thing. We've already been through this in court. That case was dropped by both of us. We both agreed to drop and move forward with prejudice. That means that you never open it again. Well, here we are again in the middle of a wonderful tour with our good friends Def Leppard and Steve Miller. And there's kind of like the corporate smiley face ending to this. We're here again. You never open it. Okay. Now, this really isn't a lawsuit about money. This is a lawsuit about having an independent person monitor the spending and then report back to the company and say, this is how much money these guys are spending. And this is how much they're supposed to spend. Now, Neal doesn't talk about fiscal restraint or fiscal responsibility or coloring within the lines or anything. He's just like, yeah, well, what's it to you if I'm spending 10K a night? What's it to you? He said that to someone else over on Instagram or something. And I don't think Kane is in the wrong if he has the receipts. But it is kind of weird. Why would you do this in the middle of the tour? Why not wait until the end of the tour? I mean, certainly the band isn't going to get any better. And from what I understand, what I mean is they're not going to sound better. They're not going to play better. But from what I've heard, again, the chemistry is going south. It wasn't great to begin with, and now it's just they're going through the motions out there. And then we've got arguments about John playing rhythm guitar, which nobody talked about here. And the guitarist is in charge, basically, of guitars, and so the keyboardist needs to stay on the keyboards, that kind of a thing. I don't know. There's some strange stuff that I know that I can't say. I will say this, and it would just confuse this particular issue a little bit. But there's some other things going on, which, quite honestly, it's another drama in and of itself. It's somewhat different from this drama, maybe related to it. Maybe there's just frustration because time is running out for this band. It is, even though they probably have more gas in the tank than many of these classic rock bands out there. But certainly time is starting to run out on them. And it's frustrating for the fans because the people who grew up listening to this music would just like to go and listen to music and not be confronted with all this drama. The casual fans aren't going to care all that much. The hardcore old school fans, they're already ticked off that Steve Perry isn't in the band. They'll never get over that. And they've never completely warmed up to Arnell. They're okay with Arnell. But it's like you just heap another log on this fire of indifference, and people are going to be like, you know what? Who cares? I was going to go see him, but I'm not going to go see him now. And I said at the beginning, yeah, go see him. Go see him. If you've never seen him, go see him. If you've seen him a couple of times in the last 10 years, there's probably no reason to go see them. If Dean wasn't there, I would say go see him because you'll get to hear Dean sing a song, and his drumming is really great. His enthusiasm on stage is great. I mean, he'd be the reason I'd want to go see Journey right now, Dean Castronovo. I wish they would give him more stuff to do, but you don't want to imply that your current lead singer has an issue by giving Dean too much to do. So anyway, folks, as the journey turns, the drama continues. I'll keep you informed and up to date, of course, because I'm sure there's supposed to be arguments, I think, today in court. So we'll find out how that goes. We probably won't know until tomorrow or later today. But if news breaks on that, I will cover it for you, because this is your headquarters for As the Journey Turns, the soap opera, which generates lots of revenue for everybody, including me. Please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget Patreon, YouTube memberships. I have conversations over on Patreon with folks. Buy me a coffee. You can send messages through Buy Me a Coffee if you'd like to. And, you know, it's typically a 1 or 2 reply back and forth. On Patreon, it's ongoing all the time. Patreon you can do for $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you think you can afford. If you want to give me the equivalent to a one-night stay at Neal Schon's favorite hotel, that would take care of my channel for probably the entire year. So, or at least a few months. So I appreciate that. God bless everyone. Stay safe out there. Vote correctly in November.